from the draft. And not just because we're talking about the Falcons, my hometown team. You know a little something about playing with your brother?
I do. Now, our draft day stories are completely different than those two guys. I was drafted 203rd in the draft. Then the next year, my brother goes out 27th. I'm still waiting for my paycheck from him because I helped get him drafted a year later. But being in the secondary with your brother, there's nothing like it. Even the moments that aren't so great. I remember being in meetings and me and Dev were involved in a double team, and Robbie Anderson ran right by us. The next day, Bill's like, aren't you guys supposed to be the two fastest guys on the team? So there's going to be some good and bad with it, but it'll be fun nonetheless.
Yeah, it's shocking that Dev hadn't paid you back for all that. Come on now.
Come on, Laura, you've met him. You know
if he's watching right now, we're calling you out, Dev. Let's go through a couple of the defensive draft picks that you really liked with their new team. What stuck out to you?
We're going to start right in Atlanta with Avion Terrell and what he brings to the table for this Falcons defense. Their coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, he is a guy that plays a style of defense that is feisty, extremely aggressive, and you have a corner out there that can match that type of tempo and that type of tone. He also has the versatility. He can be outside, he can be inside, but he goes out there and he competes with any and everybody, and I think that's the best part about it. When you watch him, he's up at the line of scrimmage, but he's also off, and he is fluent in his technique. Another guy that we talk about that has a type of versatility is Traydon Stukes. He goes to the Las Vegas Raiders out of Arizona, and he's a player that played all over their defense, starting out as an outside corner, then a nickel/safety. He has the ability to be in the deep part of the field, but also learn from guys like Jeremy Chin and Teron Johnson. This is a guy that when the ball's in the air, he absolutely attacks it. You saw his 40, a 4-3 guy. He is a missile out there on the field, so he'll be able to move around this defense and a plug-and-play type of guy that will show up and do whatever it is you take. The last guy on this list was the best DB in the entire draft, Mansour Delane, when we're talking about cornerbacks. The Chiefs knew it. They knew they lost two guys this year, including Trent McDuffie, and they had to go out and get them a guy. Now, when you watch him, he reminds me of what L'Jarius Sneed was able to do for their defense, a guy that can align outside on your best wide receiver and attempt to take him completely off of the board. When you watched him at LSU, he was standing at the line of scrimmage, physical with guys, and getting after wide receivers. Delane is going to be special in the league. Can't wait to see what he does.
Such a smart player, too. Instinctive. Yes. He did so much for that LSU defense, but I think it's going to your point, be a nice translation right to the Chiefs. He was so excited, too, when he looked at that Chiefs hat. It started to sink in a little bit. He's like, man, I'm going to a big-time team. Let's go to the Bears now. They made a splash of their own in the secondary when they drafted Oregon safety Dillon Thieneman in the first round. Chicago, of course, trying to rebuild that secondary that was mostly lost in free agency. Of note, the Bears opted not to pick a defensive lineman until the 6th round. Some wondered if they go D lineman a little bit early, a clear position of need certainly in the Windy City. Our Bears reporter Courtney Cronin joining us now. Good to see you, Courtney. And what are the Bears saying about some of those unfilled holes on the D-line?
Well, they're looking towards the guys that they have on the roster already to fulfill the needs of a D-line that could not pressure the quarterback very well last year. And it's interesting because Ryan Poles, the general manager, kind of foreshadowed this was going to happen after that Dillon Thieneman pick at 25. He was asked, do you think that day 2 could be a place where you address the need along at an edge rusher? And he said, well, yes, but obviously it's going to depend on cost. It was cost prohibitive. They did try to move up in the 2nd round, but decided it would take them out of the 3rd round. But he made this comment that, yes, D-line and the secondary, everything, Mary's rush and coverage, all those things matter. But if you have good corners and you have good safeties, maybe the quarterback can hold on to the ball a little bit longer. So that should have been the Easter egg that we were all looking for to figure out what they were going to do the rest of the draft. But Ben Johnson was adamant that better coaching this year is going to get more out of the likes of Montez Sweat, who had a double-digit sack season, 2nd time in his career. But then it's Dayo Odeyingbo, who kind of remains this giant question mark. They gave him a big-time contract last year. He only played 8 games, 1 sack before his season ended due to injury. And then there's the guys on the interior, Grady Jarrett, Gervon Dexter, and trying to figure out what you can get out of Austin Booker, Shamar Turner on the edge. barring any trade, this is the group they're rolling the dice with, and they must feel pretty confident in not spending any picks or many resources at all in free agency on an edge rusher to be able to keep the core that they have and expect better results.
Yeah.
So I think back, covering the Bears in the playoffs, I think back to all the conversations with players on offense and defense and how they would talk about how offensively, we cannot wait until the fourth quarter to score points. Defensively, we got to keep getting turnovers. Yep. And you think about those close games that they came back and won. And each week they're like, we got to be better. We got to jump out faster. And I think, you can't expect those close leads to be yours again a year from now. You know what I mean? And that's when I look at this Bears team, I am concerned because watching the Bears in the playoffs, you were thinking they got the quarterback, they got the pieces. And then you think about all the pieces that they lost, veteran pieces on the defensive side of the ball. So the best ways, guys, sometimes to help your offense is to shore up your defense. Get after other opposing quarterbacks. Get your quarterback the ball quicker. So watching the Bears, as Courtney will do, it'll be a big story all season.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to watch because, to your point, they relied heavily on the turnovers, and you're not going to expect that. But second year with Dennis Allen, how much can we just get better overall as a defense where now we're not relying on those turnovers? I think, to your point, Kobe Bryant in the secondary safety coming over from a Super Bowl winning team, drafting Thieneman, but then also just getting healthy in the secondary. Kyler Gordon, a versatile nickel position who can do so much for them, bring so much energy, having him fully healthy. Jalen Johnson on the outside. You also drafted Muhammad that now can compete with Tyreek Stevenson. So to your point, as a secondary guy, I love that. If you have corners that can be up in your face, jamming wide receivers, and versatile safeties that can move around, it does force the quarterback to pat the ball in extra time to get after. So they need their defense. Yes, the turnovers are great, but let's just get a little bit better. Right. So now we're not giving up points and we don't need our offense heroics towards the end of games.
As Courtney could speak to, the few times that we had the Bears on Monday Night Football, when we would talk to Dennis Allen, he'd be like, I'm trying to create pass rush. I'm trying to do things schematically to make this group look a little bit better. And they did that, right? So some of that can carry over in a big way. But let's talk about the offensive side, because the Bears did take 3 offensive players on day 2. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, if you look back to 2025, Ben Johnson's fingerprints were all over this roster. They draft Colston Loveland. They draft Luther Burden. Both of those guys become impact players immediately. Day 2, when we thought they might go edge rusher, they go Logan Jones, center of the future in the second round. They take Sam Roush, a tight end that is not going to be a starter right now, but is absolutely going to help fulfill the needs that they have. This is a team that runs so much 12 and 13 personnel. And then Xavier Thomas, a wide receiver who was a dynamic returner in college at LSU. So what are those picks? Those are picks that are helping build this roster in Ben Johnson's vision. They're not necessarily picks for right now. These are guys that they expect to be big contributors in 2027. But as Ben Johnson has clearly demonstrated here, this is his team. It's being built in his vision, but it's also a chance for them to draft players in positions that they need, but not necessarily right now when it's not as much of a necessity.
And you never know. The speed of Xavier Thomas could pop in a couple spots next season. They could say, you're going to contribute before 2027. We like it. Thanks to Courtney. Let's get some top stories in here, starting in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers placed the UFA tender rare happening in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers. Simply put, the move would allow the Steelers to keep Rodgers' rights for the 2026 season if he does not sign with another team before camp. Essentially, an insurance policy in the Steel City. They're waiting on that decision. We don't blame them. Got to get a little insurance going here. We reported yesterday that Heisman finalist Diego Pavia would be attending the Ravens camp for a tryout. Well, things progressed today as the former Vanderbilt quarterback officially agreed to a 3-year deal in Baltimore. We should note the Ravens signed UConn quarterback Joey Fagano today as well. Now, the Eagles picked up a couple of 5th-year options this week. Both defensive tackle Jalen Carter and linebacker Nolan Smith will be sticking around in Philly through the 2027 season. Pretty good haul from the 2023 draft for Howie Roseman and company. Don't look now, they just keep doing it every year. After passing on the wide receiver position in last week's NFL draft, the Vikings bringing in free agent wideout Jawan Jennings for a visit. That, according to our Adam Schefter. Jennings, of course, caught a career-high 9 touchdown passes for the 49ers last season. I've been a little surprised he's still out there on the market. A little feisty guy, but he could make a big difference on a team. We'll see what happens there with the Vikings. Coming up next,